So I really enjoy haikus and other short forms of poetry because I think they strive to capture the small moments of life and often the beauty of nature and mundane activities. So reading those sorts of works makes me pay more attention to those little quotidian actions and maybe a flower that has a particularly pretty pattern on it or something.
Poetry has changed the way I think about human emotion and art. I believe that there's no permanent state of the self, and therefore art and poetry in particular is our only way of preserving an emotion or an identity in a permanent way. Poetry or music or any kind of art really can be relived again and again, experienced by enough people. It becomes universal and personal all at once, and it's just so magical to experience and to see in this competition.
Poetry has changed the way I see my world because it's always been my outlet. It's helps me like get through some things.
Poetry has changed the way I see the world by helping me appreciate the little moments, because a talented poet can make the tiniest little thing in the world seem big and beautiful. So every time I'm like out walking my dogs or just out in the world, I try to take that same viewpoint into my life and really appreciate all the beauty around us.
I would say that I feel like I look at things a lot different, as weird as that might sound. When learning the poems that I've chosen, I've really had to slow down and really think about my words and what I'm putting out into the world. And so I feel like in that process, I've learned to slow down and take a look at everything and really truly question how that makes me feel and how that makes others feel. And I also kind of feel like I've maybe become a better speaker, though sometimes I still fumble over my own words.
I'd say poetry has changed the way I see the world in, well, I don't know if I'd say a big way, but it's small ways. Whether it's the way you talk, you add a little flair here and there, because that's fun, or you just think about stuff more.
Poetry makes me, I think it makes me just understand things more. It makes me think about the simple things. Like the other day when I was skiing, I was just thinking about how the snow was blowing and thinking how it would be a cool poem. It just has made me more aware of nature and things like that.
Poetry Out Loud is this remarkable program that helps to bring poetry into the world of high school students. So it encourages high school students to find a poem that they love, to learn the poem, to memorize it, and then to recite it and perform it in front of their peers in their class, in regional finals, in state finals, and then ultimately in Washington, D.C. It's incredible and amazing that they're able to do that. I'm Amy Hausman. I'm the Executive Director of the Maine Arts Commission. So the Maine Arts Commission presents Poetry Out Loud every year. Poetry Out Loud is a program from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. And here in Maine, we are the presenter of that program. So we've organized it for the last 20 years.
Please welcome Abigail McGrillis of Gorham High School.
The Last Laugh by Wilfred Owen. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm hit, he said, and died. Whether he vainly cursed or prayed indeed, the bullets chirped in vain, vain, vain. Machine guns chuckled, tut, 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 tut. And the big gun guffawed. Another sighed, oh mother, mother, dad, and smiled at nothing. Childlike, being dead. And the lofty shrapnel cloud leisurely gestured, fool! And the splinters spat and tittered. My love, one moaned, love languid seemed his mood, till slowly lowered his whole face, kissed the mud. And the bayonet's long teeth grinned, rabbles of shells hooted and groaned, and the gas
Please welcome back Stella Martinelli of Erskine Academy.
Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me.
What to Say Upon Being Asked to Be Friends by Julian Tasmatsi-Berlasky. Why speak of hate when I do bleed for love? Not hate, my love, but love doth bite my tongue till I taste stuff that makes my rhyming rough. So flatter I my fever for the one for whom I inly mourn, though seem to shun. A rose is eros is a Ross. So what if I confuse the shade I've become with wine-dark substance in a lover's cup? But stop, my tonguely wound I have bled enough. If I be fair or false or freaked with fear, if I my tongue in locked box immure, blame not me, for I am sick with love. Yet would I be your friend most willingly, since friendship would infect me, killingly.
So the students get to choose the poem off of the Poetry Out Loud anthology, which is online. So they get a wide selection of everything from Greeks to very modern poetry, longer and shorter. And it's fascinating to me what poems the students choose. Every once in a while, a student will say, do you have a suggestion for me? I'm having a hard time narrowing things down. But by and large, students find the poems themselves and find something that somehow resonates with them. And then they go off and sort of independently work on it. And then they'll come back to me and we'll work on it. And sometimes I get to ask those questions about what does that line mean? Or what do you think the poet is trying to say? And oftentimes it's just saying, let's slow down here. Or what if you pause here? Or, wow, that line, you really want your listeners to feel that line. Give it that space. And so sort of working through the mechanics of recitation, which sort of doesn't feel like there is a full performance aspect to it, but letting that poem speak for itself and trying to find the best way for the student to inhabit that poem to then allow it to speak for itself. My name is John Reinhardt, and I teach humanities at Maine Coast Waldorf High School in Freeport, Maine.
I eat breakfast to begin the day by Zubair Ahmed. I create time. I cannot create time. I am frozen in place. I cannot be frozen. I'm moving, but don't notice. I notice me moving. I pay attention to the small, yet immense, yet small movements that guide my limbs, my hair growth, my joint oils. I don't think about it. I don't feel it either. I don't have any emotions right now. I see films of divine quality. I don't see any films. This black, this not black. To me, I am not, to me, not. I walk with this hollowness. I walk with this blooming. I'm moving outward forever, onward, eternally inward. I create all objects, like shampoos and cats. I create nothing, like space and antimatter. I resign to the clocks that keep time. I surrender to the clocks that don't keep time. I'm sure about it. The color white, I'm not sure about it. What is word? Oh, the loops and unloops. Destiny unfolds in my knees. I eat breakfast to begin the day.
From Carabec High School, welcome Aaron Sussman.
The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe. Lo, 'tis a gala night within the lonesome latter years. An angel throng, bewinged, bedight in veils and drowned in tears, sit in a theater to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes, in the form of God on high, mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly. Mere puppets they, who come and go at bidding of vast, formless things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings invisible woe. Oh, that motley drama! To be sure, it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not through a circle that ever returneth into the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin and horror, the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic root, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes, with mortal pangs the mimes become its food, and seraphs sob at vermin fangs in human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each quivering form, the curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm, while the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy man, and its hero, the conqueror worm.
Welcome Willow Knowles of Kennebunk High School.
What Women Are Made Of by Bianca Lynn Spriggs. There are many kinds of open, Audre Lorde. We are all ventricle, spine, lung, larynx, and gut, clavicle and nape, what lies forked in an open palm. We are follicle and temple. We are ankle, arch, sole, pore and rib, pelvis and root and tongue. We are wishbone and gland and molar and lobe. We are hippocampus and exposed nerve and cornea, areola, pigment, melanin, and nails, varicose, cellulite, divining rod, sinew and tissue, saliva and silt. We are blood and salt, clay and aquifer. We are breath and flame and stratosphere, palimpsest and bibelot and cloisonné fine lines. marigold, hydrangea, and dimple.
Lila Chibuye
Nightlight,
of Brewer High School.
satellite, and stubble. We are pinnacle, plummet, dark circles, and dark matter. A constellation of freckles and specters and miracles and lashes, both bent and erect. We are all give and give back. We are Volta and Girder. Make an incision in our nectary, and painted ladies sail forth, riding the back of a warm wind, plumes with love and things like love, crack us down to the marrow, and you may find us full of cicada husks and sand dollars and salted maple taffy, weary of welding together our daydreams. All sweet tea, razor blades, carbon, and patchwork quilts of good God and Lord have mercy. Our hands remember how to turn the earth before we do. Our intestinal fortitude, cumulonimbus, streaked with saffron light. Our foundation, not in our limbs or hips. This comes first as an amen, a hallelujah, a suckling, swaddled psalm sung at the cosmos's breast. You want to know what women are made of? Open wide and find out.
So we organize the event. We have a consultant who helps to organize the event, and she goes out and really solicits teachers and schools to participate. And the program couldn't exist without that. So we're really grateful to superintendents of school districts, to principals, and to teachers who make the time to be able to work with students. And then it's so important to have supportive groups of people around those students, whether they are family or friends or other kinds of mentors who help support them in their journey to do this really ambitious, brave work, which is to memorize these poems, learn them, and then present them in front of big groups of people. It's really remarkable.
Meanwhile, by Richard Seiken. Driving. Dogs barking. How you get used to it. How you make the new streets yours. Trees outside the window, and a big band sound that makes you feel like everything's okay. A feeling that lasts for one song, maybe. The parentheses all clicking shut behind you. The way we move through time and space, or only time.
Rose Lehane Tureen.
The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade! Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why, there's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed out with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare-fleshed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army, while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon behind them volleyed and thundered, stormed out with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade. Noble 600.
I really like to see how students interpret the words on the page, like how they take the poem and bring it to life. You know, I think when you read words on a page, they might mean something different to all of us who are, you know, different people. But the young people have to then, so they read the poem and then they interpret it, whatever it means to them, and then they have to powerfully convey that to everyone in the room, because we're not reading the poem with them. We don't have it in front of us, and so we need to be riveted. And that's what happens every single time. And I think it's just really, I'm always impressed by the students' dedication. I'm always impressed by how dynamic they are.
Pendo Dawe of Maine Coast Waldorf School.
It Faintly Lingers by An Ju Chal. Translated by Janine Walker. Faintly remains, scarcely remains. Drops of water form inside my life as if I cherish a drop of light. Just as love is formed inside the word love, just as the word goodbye doesn't permeate it, it faintly lingers. A thin part of me remains. Sometimes, inside me, a full feeling arises, and inside me is almost full of things other than me, but it's far from me. It's forever in the distance. Before loving, even before we fall in love, before parting, like someone broken up with, I'm faintly, thinly breathing. Even if I look in the mirror, I'm not there. Even if I take a picture, I'm not there. Even if I look back strongly with my neck, I'm not there. Even after finishing the preparations to love, like someone broken up with before it even begins, faintly I remain. It's faint, but a drop of a clear me forms in the middle of my life.
I hope they feel energized. I hope they feel proud to represent their themselves, but also to represent their school and their region, and hopefully the state of Maine. I hope they feel like they are bringing all of us together with maybe a renewed love or appreciation for the art of poetry. My name is Samah Abdurakib, and I'm the Executive Director of Maine Humanities.
Isaac Wright of Mount Ararat High School.
There are no kings in America by Eileen Casanetto. We are not that kind of country. We are sanctuary for the hungry, the homeless, the huddled, held together by an idea our immigrant fathers believed in. Rendered, it meant independence. Pursued, it kindled war, ordinance, a fighting chance. 40,000 musket balls by themselves did not shape the boundaries on which we map our days. To draw our borders, we needed more than fire cakes, more than a pound of meats with bone and gristle, or salt fish and a gill of peas. We needed the faith and grit of people who were not yet Americans. To be an American is to recognize the sacrifice of the widow and the orphan. It is to understand the weft of tent cities expecting caravans, and the heft of a child in a camp not meant for children, or sitting before a judge, awaiting judgment. What do we say to the native whose lands we now inhabit? What do we say to our immigrant fathers who held certain truths to be self-evident? Do we still now pledge to one another our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor? There are no kings in America. Only gilded men we can topple again and again.
I like to say that the poem is created in the space between the writer and the reader. So you write the poem, right? I just released a new book of poems, right? You write a whole book of poems, and then you put it out in the world, and you have no control over what happens to it, right? People can pick it up, they can be horrified by it, they can be angry, they could throw it against the wall, they could give it to many different people, it can travel, to countries you've never been to. There is a copy of my first book on a very small island off of Costa Rica because a friend put one there and left it there. So you entirely lose control of it in a certain way. But also, I think each reader encounters a poem a little bit differently. We bring our own memories, associations, interpretations, biases, and I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, to the poem. And in doing that, if we then read the poem out loud, we put a little bit of ourselves in that poem, right? So the poem becomes, it becomes a thing beyond what the poet could imagine when someone else reads it and experiences it. I'm Julia Bausma, and I'm Maine's Poet Laureate.
My name is Willow Knowles, and I am a senior at Kennebunk High School.
My name is Abigail McCrillis, and I attend Gorham High School.
I'm Lyra Riccadoni, and I'm from Bath. I go to Morse High School.
Hi, I'm Rose Lahane-Tureen. I'm from Falmouth, and I go to Chevers High School.
My name is Pendo Mercy Bothadelwe. I go to Maine Coast Waldorf School in Freeport, Maine. I have been living in New Gloucester recently with my new host family.
Hi, I am Aaron Sussman from Emden, Maine, and I go to Carabec High School.
Hi, my name is Stella Martinelli. I live in Whitefield, and I go to Erskine Academy.
Hello, my name is Aspen Gauthier. I'm from Litchfield, Maine, and I go to Oak Hill High School.
So, one of the poems I chose is I Once Was a Child by Victoria Chang. And I chose this one because I really liked the stream of consciousness style to it. It has a lot of repetition, and I thought it would make a really good recited poem. And I also really liked the playing on meaning in it. It has both sort of a social justice message, which I think is gives it an impact, and also playing around with ideas of childhood and culture.
The poem I chose, The Last Laugh by Wilfred Owen, is a poem written by a soldier who was actually in the trenches and experiencing the horror of World War I while he was writing the poem. And I think it's such a vivid illustration of like what he was going through at that time that it really ties you to a time that you might not have otherwise understood or really like given time to understand. I feel like a lot of the time we're so like pressured to know things about history that have a lot to do with like dates or government systems or like very cold kinds of things. And with poetry like this, you really get a portrait of a human experience that I think is extremely valuable to help people to emphasize with people who lived a long time ago and people who live today that experiences we might not be able to understand otherwise. And I really hope that with my portrayal of this poem, I could give people a snapshot of an experience that they might not otherwise understand as much.
One of the poems that means the most to me is Truth Is I Would Like to Escape Myself, because I think I relate to it most, because I do find that I would like to escape everyday reality, and I want to be everything everywhere all at once, which I feel like this poem really represents.
I'm doing Recuerdo by Edna St. Vincent Millay, and I'm really fond of her as a poet because she's from Maine and went to Vassar like my mom, and she also just was a real feminist icon and a lady with a great sense of style. And I really think she brings both of those two things into Recuerdo because it's really in touch with her femininity. It's a little like a conversation with your girlfriend about your date, and it's also very stylish.
The three poems that I have chosen are Suppose by Phoebe Carey, which is a poem about kind of like sadness and turning sadness into like happy thoughts and feelings. I also chose It Faintly Lingers by Anju Chao, which is kind of a poem about like feeling yourself and all the things that are inside of you. And it's very sad, but really, really powerful. And the third poem that I chose is Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mosab Abu Toa, which is a very, very hard poem, I would say, because you have to really feel the different emotions. And it's also about like the Palestinian war and just someone who has been in that situation.
That'd definitely be Conqueror Worm. Conqueror Worm deals in a lot of themes of kind of death and life and the adventure or experience of life. And sure, there are plenty of different ways out there that have interpreted that. But to me, the Conqueror Worm in particular is so vastly more dramatic and interesting and complex. Everyone's mimes and they're just putting on a play and living out their life. And then in comes a massive worm that eats everyone. And that's fun. Fun is what I look for.
One poem I think like resonates with me is Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. I like all three of my poems a lot, but this one really stuck with me just because it's winter here in Maine, and it talks about hope and how it doesn't cost anything and how you can always just have it. And I don't know, I think that's something nice to think about in these winter months.
One of the poems that I chose to recite for Poetry Out Loud this year was Enough by Suzanne Buffum. I really connected with this poem because I love the way that Suzanne Buffum formats her poems. And this one in particular, I really connected to because in it,
Suzanne Buffum talks about what she calls a domestic kind of rage. And I really like that because I think that it's important, especially for women, to discuss some of these deeper emotions and use poetry as a vice to express some of the feelings and thoughts that might not be very conventional.
I'd like to take a moment to recognize every student who has recited for us tonight. Congratulations to all of you for being Maine State finalists. The students who will recite for us now in round 3, in no particular order, are Pendo Dawe, Rose Lahane Tureen, Willow Knowles, Lila Chibuye, and Isaac Wright. As these students prepare for the final round, please welcome Maine's Poet Laureate, Julie Bousma. Julie Bousma lives off the grid in the mountains of Western Maine, where she works as a poet, homesteader, editor, teacher, and small-town librarian. She is Maine's 6th Poet Laureate, currently serving a term from 2021 to 2026, and is the author of 3 poetry collections, Work by Bloodlight in 2017, Midden in 2018, and Death Fluorescence, which is forthcoming in June of 2025. Welcome, Julia.
This is a poem by our current U.S. poet, Ada Limon, who visited Colby and Waterville in the fall. And this poem felt relevant to me for this occasion because it's a poem about the transportive qualities of poetry. I like to tell people that one of poetry's most important superpowers is its ability to compress language to the point of possibility. Or to echo Arisa, and I think this is the 3rd time that Audre Lorde will be quoted this evening, to move our spirits most deeply and directly through promise. I believe this poem is a stunning embodiment of that concept. The Magnificent Frigate Bird by Ada Limon. Is it okay to begin with the obvious? I am full of stones. Is it okay not to look out this window, but to look out another? A mentor once said, you can't start a poem with a man looking out a window. Too many men looking out a window. What about a woman? Today is a haunting. One last orange on the counter. It is a dead fruit. We swallow dead things. Once in Rio, near Leblon, large seabirds soared over the vast South Atlantic Ocean. I had never seen them before. 8-foot wingspan and gigantic in their confident gliding, black, with a red neck like a wound or a hidden treasure, or both. When I looked it up, I learned it was the magnificent frigate bird. It sounded like that enormity of a bird had named itself. What a pleasure to say, I am magnificent. And 2, they traveled as a team, so I wondered if they named each other, generously tapping one another's deeply forked tail, or their plumage glistening with salt air, their gular sacks saying, you are magnificent. You are also magnificent. It makes me want to give all my loves the adjectives they deserve. You are resplendent. You are radiant. You are sublime. I am far away from tropical waters. I have no skills for flight or wings, to skim the waves effortlessly like the wind itself. But from here, I can still imagine rapture,
a glorious caught fish in the mouth of a bird.
Now it's time to hear our students. Once again, please welcome Pendo Dawe.
Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mosab Abu Toa. When you open my ear, touch it gently. My mother's voice lingers somewhere inside. Her voice is the echo that helps recover my equilibrium when I feel dizzy during my attentiveness. You may encounter songs in Arabic, poems in English I recite to myself, or a song I chant to the chirping birds in our backyard. When you stitch the cut, don't forget to put all these back in my ear. Put them back in order, as you would do with books on your shelf. The drone's buzzing sound, the roar of an F-16, the screams of bombs falling on houses, on fields, and on bodies, of rockets flying away. Rid my small ear canal of them all. Spray the perfume of your smiles on the incision. Inject the song of life into my veins to wake me up. Gently beat the drum so my mind may dance with yours, my doctor, day and night.
Rose Lahane Tureen.
How to Triumph Like a Girl by Ada Limon. I like the lady horses best, how they make it all look easy, like running 40 miles per hour is as fun as taking a nap, or grass. I like their lady horse swagger after winning. Ears up, girls, ears up. But mainly, let's be honest, I like that they're ladies, as if this big, dangerous animal is also a part of me, that somewhere inside the delicate skin of my body, there pumps an 8-pound female horse heart, giant with power, heavy with blood. Don't you want to believe it? Don't you want to lift my shirt and see the huge, beating, genius machine that thinks, no, it knows it's going to come in first.
Returning to the stage, please welcome Willow Knowles.
I Once Was a Child by Victoria Chang. I once was a child, am a child, am someone's child, not my mother's, not my father's. The boss gave us special treatment for something special, a lollipop or a sticker, glitter from the toy box. The better we did, the better the plastic prize made in China. One year, everyone got a spinning top. One year, everyone got a tap on their shoulders. One year, everyone was fired. Everyone fired but me. One year, we all lost our words. One year, my father lost his words to a stroke of bad luck. Stuck. His words used to be so worldly. His words fired him. Let him go without notice. Can they do that? Can she do that? Yes, she can. In this land, she can. Once we sang songs around a piano. This land is your land. This land is my land. In this land, someone always owns the land. In this land, someone who owns the land, owns the buildings on the land, owns the people in the buildings, unless an earthquake sucks the land in like a long noodle.
Returning next, Lila Chibuye.
Dust by Dorian Lau. Someone spoke to me last night, told me the truth. Just a few words, but I recognized it. I knew I should make myself get up, write it down, but it was late, and I was exhausted from working all day in the garden, moving rocks. Now, I remember only the flavor, not like food, sweet or sharp, more like a fine powder, like dust. And I wasn't elated or frightened, but simply wrapped, aware. That's how it is sometimes. God comes to your window, all bright light, black wings, and you're just too tired to open it.
It's always exciting to me, even if I hear the same poems recited from year to year. Every poem is different in an individual's mouth, right? The interpretation that you put on the poem, the way you bring yourself to the poem. You know, I could hear a poem 10 times from 10 different people, and it would always be different, and it would always affect me differently.
Once again, welcome Isaac Wright.
Sonnet 55. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments, by William Shakespeare. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. But you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone, besmeared with sluttish time. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, and broils root out the work of masonry, nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. 'Gainst death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Your praise shall still find room, even in the eyes of all posterity that wear this world out to the ending doom. So, till the judgments that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lovers' eyes.
A poem on the page and a poem read aloud are completely different art forms. For a poem on the page, I feel like it's more about your eye's journey down the page, and you wouldn't take in some of the sounds that the words are making as much as if you were to hear them aloud. While if you hear the poem aloud, it's all about the repetition and the different sounds that you're hearing, like the the heavy words, like the soft words, the floating words, the sharp words, the different consonant and vowel sounds. It speaks through you almost like the notes of a song. It's very, very different arts.
The poem read aloud, I feel like you can read it differently and make the other person's perception of it different. And when you're just reading it, it's like however you think it sounds.
Well, written poetry retains the same meaning and nuances as the poet originally wrote it. Spoken poetry adds a lot of layers because you as the person reciting the poem are sharing with your audience your own interpretation, which is based off of your own life. And you make the poem vital, you become the poem and really bring it to life. And poetry as an art that's unfortunately sometimes considered antiquated is something that it's really important to bring to life. And I think speaking a poem makes it a lot more accessible for a lot of viewers.
It's really cool to see so many people show up, not just the students, but their family and their teachers and people coming to support poetry. It's really exciting to me to see that kind of enthusiasm for poetry.
I want to once again thank Amy Hausman and Sama Adurakib at the Maine Arts Commission and Maine Humanities for bringing this program to Maine. Thank you to Arisa White and Julia Bausma, who joins me now to present the awards. Once again, let's hear it for these students, each and every one of them. Are you ready? This year's Poetry Out Loud runner-up is Rose Lehane to read. Oops, gotta make sure you got the right one. And our state champion, headed to national finals in Washington, D.C., is Pendo Dawe. Congratulations to our champions and to all of Maine's Poetry Out Loud participants.
She was amazing. And I was just so excited to see her at the state competition and see all of the students, and was just so proud of her for that. And then the high school, there was somebody watching the live feed of the national competition and timing it so that a few minutes before Pendo went on for her recitation, the entire high school came down to watch her. And it was just so exciting. And I think to see somebody succeed and do so well at something when you know them and you know the challenges they've worked through and you know the process that they've gone through, it's just, proud doesn't quite capture it, but it's, there's a kind of fulfillment knowing that their experience is so rich and exciting.
I'd like to welcome Amy Hausman of the Maine Arts Commission.
Thank you. I cannot say how wonderful this night was. Thank you so much to our incredible students. So incredible. The talent, dedication, and courage that we've witnessed tonight is truly inspiring. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your hard work. I want to congratulate our winners for tonight. I want to thank all of the teachers and principals and superintendents and school staff who guide and support these students every day. Yeah, woo, good job, wonderful work. And a big thanks to all of the friends and the families and the supporters and the community who have supported these students in their work. Thank you so much. Before we officially close out the 2025 Poetry Out Loud celebration, we want to express our deep gratitude to our partners at the Maine Humanities Council and our regional partners at the Public Theater in Lewiston, Shanna Cox at the LA Metro Chamber of Commerce, Ben Treat and Candace Joyce at the Bangor Public Library, Kim Smith of the City of Presque Isle, and Elise Kane at the Mark and Emily Turner Library in Presque Isle. They helped us make this event possible, and we're so grateful for all of their support and work. Also, a special thanks to our media partner, Portland Media Center. Thank you so much for making this. We want to thank everybody at home who I know has been live streaming because they've been texting me all night long to say how amazing you are, so thank you for that. Also, we really want to say thank you to Julia Bosma, who's our Maine State Poet Laureate, and our MC, Becky Hallowell. Thank you so much. Rita Wanger, come out. Can you grab those flowers for me? Rita has been a consultant with the Maine Arts Commission. She used to be on the staff of the Maine Arts Commission. She's been organizing the Poetry Out Loud event for the past 3 years. We are deeply grateful for your experience and for your extraordinary dedication to our students, to their families, and to this program, Rita. Thank you so much for all your work. We hope you will come back again. Finally, as we leave tonight, I want to encourage and challenge each of you to carry poetry with you. Instead of doom scrolling on your phone at night when you're laying in bed, which I know many of you are doing, instead, follow the example of these incredible humans who have memorized these remarkable poems. Learn a poem, memorize it, recite it in the shower, recite it in the car, recite it to your family, recite it to your dog. Recite a poem and keep it and hold it in your heart and in your mind. And if you are feeling brave, come back next year and share it. Thank you for representing the great state of Maine.